Hello folks, welcome to another daily reg market analysis by Inspocrypto. Yeah, I renamed my analysis in reg market, not anymore Bitcoin. I think it fits better. Anyway, it is what it is. I mean, that's, even I got a DM today because they said, yeah, you mentioned just 2 days ago 30k, then 22. Are you sure? Are you trading it? No. I mean, when I said 30k was because I was expecting the sharp price move because of the trend line of the magnet, shitty, liquidating magnet. And I said, we will see a sharp price move to the upside or to the downside. Some data was showing a trend to up instead to down. You remember where I said, okay, we are seeing in the chart stable coins coming in, that's bullish usually, and so on and so forth. So yeah, that's what I said on Twitter. But no, I'm not trading it. This market is not attracting me to trade it. Even if I could know tomorrow every single price level, I wouldn't trade it. Because it's part of my principle. It's, I'm not here to become rich. If I'm going to become rich, then working hard. Just really working hard. With a company, as an entrepreneur, creating a startup. Okay, that's fine for me. But not doing that here. And that's for me just casino. I can take just 10,000 euros, go to the next casino and try my luck. That's the same here. It's, they can just flip in seconds and they will liquidate you. I'm not going to buy spot here because for that I just need a regulatory clarity. And we are, in my opinion, still far away from it. We have started. The transition is going to be longer. So to push up, and that's what they are doing, to push up and then, to flip, to decline. I mean, they are just making $5,000 in 2 days, and they need afterwards 2 to 3 months. Because if you check, they did the same mid of January. Let us check together, just to show you. It's just, I don't know. They are not making any favor to the market, in my opinion. Let us start. Mid of January, the whole thing, we pushed up from 17 and did then finally $7,000, then in 2 weeks, almost in 2 weeks. Then afterwards, we started to distribute because, of course, everything what you are buying here, you need to sell afterwards. I mean, only if you are accumulating, for example, to hold long term, would be also possible. So afterwards, they distributed. They pushed once again up because, yeah, that was a short squeeze. We had a lot of shorts here. They pushed up and they distributed afterwards again. So 2 months later, exactly 2 months later, they do exactly the same. We push up from almost 20k to finally 4 weeks later, or let us say here, because it was exactly the same pattern like here, we did 28. So almost $8,000 in 2 weeks. Once again, in 2 weeks. Then afterwards, little distribution, push up once again to liquidate them. That we started to trade and to dance related to the trend line here, liquidating just everyone. It wasn't, they didn't care if longs or shorts, they just liquidated everyone. It took from here to distribute all the fucking stuff. I mean, we can even talk from here, from 30 to finally 25. So we declined only $5,000 in almost 2.5 months. So 3 months later, we are going to make exactly the same. And that's just, for me, that's where I say, it's not my market. It's just, And we need to just to make a difference between the market, the technology behind, because that's where I'm absolutely bullish on it. I'm bearish on the market. That's a big difference. When people are saying you are always bearish on the market, I'm bearish on the market. I'm not bearish on the technology. I'm not bearish on the projects. I'm bearish on the market because it's a casino market. It's a reg market. It's only about that. Of course, we could say, yeah, like every business. Yeah, that's fine. But when I don't like a business, I'm not going to buy there anything. I'm a person that likes principles. I know that today principles are overvalued. Maybe many people would say, well, I don't care about principles. Well, I care about principles. I'm not supporting such a market. I don't care. The market could go crash tomorrow to zero and can go to 100K, like many expected in 2021. Every single time when someone just had the brilliant idea to apply for a spot ETF. And it's happening. In my opinion, it's happening again, and that's something. It's not mine, to be honest. So please stop asking me if I'm trading. I'm not trading. Since a while, I'm not trading here. I just exit and said, let us check what happens to the regulation clarity. When we know it, well, then I will start to accumulate, and I said then I will announce that. But we are far away. That's the beginning of regulation. And regulation in such a Wild West market, it will hurt. It will hurt. So, to celebrate that Citadel is Jesus. They announced, I remember that I was tweeting about the Citadel exchange in end of 2021. Because that's what they announced. Now they launch it. That was their go live. Okay, cool. But that's not big. BlackRock. I mean, they mentioned their trust. I don't know. We remember they started with custodian services license and so on and so forth. People are celebrating it. Not even checking what they are applied for. It's a trust. It's not an ETF. Everyone is talking about an ETF. To be honest, would I be ECC? I would deny it just because of that. Just to say, fuck them. If you are selling us a trust, but on the other side really spreading that it's a spot ETF, then no, of course not. No, joke aside. But the thing is, this market is, in my opinion, absolutely not really. Usually, in the traditional market, when someone has a rumor, what would happen? You will have a lot of people, and not saying the masses, of course not, but many people will start to analyze and make research. Is that true or not? Before I jump in. In this market, it feels like 99% of the traders, they jump in and they don't even ask if that's what they are reading is true or not. They are just doing it. It's bullish. Up only. So let's go. I don't know how many times they received slaps in 2021, every single time when they were bullish on every single spot ETF application. I really don't know. But I was tweeting a lot about that because I was saying, guys, it's obvious it will not happen. ECC did a very clear statement. If ECC would now allow one, accept one, that would be just a really stupid decision. Because every single application for spot ETF will take just an army of lawyers, and ECC would have a huge problem. So what BlackRock did is obviously a different thing, because they said it's a trust. Okay, trust. If we remember what they said, what was the main point of ECC? Why they denied every single spot ETF, even the last one in November 2021? Market manipulation and Tether. Tether is still there. And market manipulation is still activated. It's still there. Wash trading with Binance. I mean, just check the volume. How it's possible that the volume declined that much just in one day? How is that possible if no one was using wash trading bots? So obviously that happened. Now we can talk about, well, in such case, doesn't matter if it's a trust or a spot ETF. Yes, it matters. Because, that's what I described and explained related to open-ended and closed-ended. It's about that a trust has a fixed underlying asset. So they can only sell their shares for the assets they own and hold in their portfolio. Spot ETF, if they are going to sell more shares, they can buy Bitcoin and add more assets to their portfolio. That's a big difference. So their shares on trust are limited, not on spot ETF. So obviously it gives you a door to manipulate the market with a spot ETF much more than with a trust. That could be an advantage for the trust of BlackRock to get it accepted. Even I still doubt it, because the regulation just was initiated, and we are seeing that ECC is having different battles on different fronts related to crypto. So in my opinion, if they allow the BlackRock iShares Trust application, many others would follow. And that could bring some problems just to make regulation, bring regulation on its way. A big problem to SEC, in my opinion. So I don't think it's going to happen. But it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter, because at the same time, just making this head titles, those wealthy clients of BlackRock are saying, great stuff, thank you very much. I would like to see how many of them are selling right now. But that's another thing. That's really another thing. We are going to check today a little bit the market. We are going to see where is the volume coming from, who pushed, if they pushed today more with futures, if they pushed more with spot. That's something we need to check. We could talk about my friend Jay, but one follower just asked me about that and said, hey, well, what do you think about Jay's or Powell's? For those who don't know Jeremy, I call him Jay. So, for example, Jeremy. So, what Jay is doing is what many other central bankers are doing right now, who are trying to fight the inflation. What does it mean? Pause over the summer season to see what is going to happen with inflation. That's the only thing. So we are still far away from pivot. Those who are still expecting pivot, I mean, just check the crypto chart. Who cares about pivot? You see that the market, it's not big enough. We are not moving here trillions and trillions and trillions, like for example SPY or something. So it is relevant. It is relevant, obviously, because many of those are, well, hedge funds and gamblers. So they need, obviously, money and cheap money. But I think the fact of if we will raise the rates a little bit more or not to crypto is very limited. It's more a headline thing. It's just another excuse why to dump or nuke the market, like they did. Or, like people, in my opinion, the FTX collapse and the day we had there where the price started to nuke, for me it was programmed. It wasn't just because of FTX. Like, for example, when ECC started its complaint against Binance. Yeah, the price dumped. Okay. And the day after, we pushed up very hard. At the same day, they started a complaint against Coinbase and nothing happened. Instead, it was the opposite. We pushed up very hard. So they are just using those headlines to excuse why they are doing what they are doing. But this market is absolutely clear. It's a market of wealthy guys, or at least those with big bags, against the rest. That's the only thing. So anyway, what Jeremy Powell is saying, I mean, you remember what I said in 2022. The options of central banks are extremely limited. So yeah, they can hike more interest rates. They can do it. But at the same time, when you are pumping the banks with fresh money, it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense, because the thing is to reduce the liquidity, the circulating liquidity. While you can imagine if you have other countries who are now announcing they are going to dump its USD reserves, what will happen with the circulating supply of US dollars? So the thing you need to do is to reduce the liquidity, the supply of US dollars. But that's not what the Fed is doing. That's absolutely not what the Fed is doing. They are, telling us, hey, we are raising the rates. Oh, that's cool. But the little Joe who has a mortgage, for example, for his house, because you said the economy is strong, the US is the most strongest economy in the world, he was convinced. Now he is noticing, Jesus, the economy doesn't look that strong. And hey, what is happening? My mortgage is getting more expensive. And so on and so forth, because that's triggering a chain reaction at the same time. Because you can imagine, I mean, if this guy can't pay his mortgage anymore, the real estate agent that will have his house on its portfolio and who wants to sell it and will not find any customers at the moment, what will it happen? So everything that happens will have a reaction afterwards. And that's a big problem I see. The Fed is not solid doing what they said they are going to do, just because the banks started to bring some pressure. But not only in the US. Absolutely not only in the US. The same thing is happening in different other nations as well, and economies. And that explains, if you check the charts of the stocks, if you check the financial market, and I mean, the German DAX, the German economy was never looking that weak, like, for example, since COVID. And the DAX is making new all-time highs. Are you fucking kidding me? SPY, absolutely manipulated with 0 DTE options, means they are just buying options today that ends today, that expires today, with a huge leverage. The same fucking thing what they are doing with crypto, using high leverage positions to push up the price, supported by spot. It's exactly the same. It's the same pattern. It doesn't matter if you are using futures, it doesn't matter if you are using options, because the pattern is the leverage. They are using high leverage positions because obviously, at least on futures, you are just artificially creating volume. That's what they are doing. So everything what is happening at the moment, it will have a reaction later on. It's taking longer than I expected. Yeah, obviously. I'm investing money. It's not the case that Inspocrypto is dumb and waiting and sitting on his hands and saying, oh, I have so much cash. Obviously not. I don't want to have any cash if it's possible. But it's a different asset. Much more conservative, gives me a nice gain, and that's it. It's a good yield. That's about it. And I can sleep overnight. that's the thing that, it's, for me at least, I know some of you are different, and lucky for you, I remember sometimes it was just, I go sleep, everything looks fine, I wake up the next morning and they liquidated me overnight, on crypto. So, but everything what's happening at the moment, maybe on the surface it looks good, but if you take a deeper look behind the surface, it doesn't. It really doesn't. So that's what I'm saying over and over again. Be careful. Just be careful. It's not trying to convince you, take the exit, leave. No, absolutely not. I'm just saying, please adjust your expectations. Only because it goes up doesn't mean it can't go down. Many factors, economy data, well, crypto in particular, we have regulation on the table, that's another thing, but also the geopolitical stuff, and so on and so forth, looks extremely sensitive. At any time, the markets could just burst. And that's the thing. That's really the thing. And that's my main message. Be careful. Don't feel FOMO, YOLO, or whatever. Be just careful. That's the only thing. So, let us go forward. We are now finally at 30K. Yeah, 30K after we did 31. But yeah, obviously they need to. I mean, I don't. Who cares? Let us go forward and check what the market is trying to tell us.